What's going on, Durant Mob? We are back at it again with another video, but today we're gonna be doing something a little bit different. Recently, Nike unveiled 6 colorways of the Katy 13, and in today's video, we're not only going to be giving you a release date for each of those colorways, but we're also gonna give you some information on the inspiration behind those designs, and we're also gonna rate every single colorway on a scale of 1 to 10. Before we get there, we do have some updating news on the Katy 13. Now, if you remember in my initial first impressions video of the Katy 13, I mentioned that the price tag was going to be at or around $150, but I did get some comments of people saying the rumored price tag was actually 190 bucks. Some people said 180, some people said 170. No one really knew. There was a lot of speculation. So I'm happy to announce that according to the official Nike website, the Katy 13 is going to retail for $160, which I actually think this is good news. I know it's a slight price increase from the Katy 12, but when you consider the fact that, it's not as expensive as, the LeBron 17 or even the Air Jordan 34, I think the Katy 13 has a lot of value to offer at the $160 price mark. So this to me is good news, but let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. But now that we got all that out of the way, let's get to these 6 colorways and let's start ranking them. All right, so the first colorway we're gonna talk about is actually going to be the first colorway that Nike's going to drop with the Katy 13. And it's called the Planet of Hoops colorway, and it's got this navy, black, and green color scheme. Now these are set to drop on April 6th alongside the black and white colorway, but this is actually an international release. So overseas places like China and Asia, they're gonna get the Katy 13 first. Now it is important to note that I could not find any information on a stateside release for this navy and green colorway, but the black and white colorway is set to drop in the US on April 17th. We'll talk about that colorway a little bit later, but all you need to know is that this Planet of Hoops colorway is dropping April 6th. And if you want this colorway for yourself and you live in the States and you don't live overseas, your best bet is to get it at a third-party retailer like StockX or GOAT or something like that. But just keep in mind, this colorway is an international release as of right now, exclusively. Now, as far as the colorway goes, I think it's pretty decent. Now, it's not as loud as you would expect this type of colorway to be, because if you take a close look at the upper, it has this real playful graphic that actually reminds me of a kids-only exclusive colorway, but instead you have this very dark navy blue upper to go alongside a black swoosh midsole and outsole. It's very subdued for that type of graphic. However, there are some bright hints of green, at least in these official Nike photos. Those green areas on the bottom of the swoosh and the outsole, those are very, very bright in the Nike photos. But if you take a look at some other photos, it's not as bright, which makes me wonder if these green areas are actually glow in the dark, which I think would be pretty cool if they were glow in the dark. And that only makes me think these should be a kids only exclusive even more, because it's kind of a kids thing, glow in the dark on sneakers. But I don't know, I can't find any official information. I don't think they're glow in the dark. If I had to go out on a limb, these photos, the saturation just isn't turned up. I think it's just green. I don't think it's glow in the dark. Usually Nike will tell you if it's glow in the dark, but I don't really see anything here. This colorway is apparently inspired by the global status of basketball on Earth, its international reach, and how Earth is really the planet of hoops. So that's where the name comes from. But as far as my official rating for the Planet of Hoops Katy 13, I'm gonna go with a 7.5 out of 10. It's the first colorway we're looking at. I don't wanna give it too high of a rating, because where do I go after that? So I'm going 7.5 out of 10. I like them, I don't love them, but I also don't hate them. It's somewhere in the middle, so 7.5 out of 10. All right, so the next colorway we're talking about is that black and white colorway, which again will be dropping April 6th, but only overseas. Here in the States, this colorway is set for an April 17th release date, so just keep that in mind. Now, you really can't hate on this black and white colorway because it's just black and white. It's not awful, but it also isn't the most unique thing. And recently, Nike has been dropping, like whenever they get a new signature sneaker, the initial colorway recently has been black and white. For whatever reason, I don't really know why they're doing this. I mean, part of me wants to say that they just want to drop an okay colorway initially so that it makes you buy the better colorway a little bit down the line in the future. But another side of me wants to say that it might have something to do with the player movement era and how these guys don't really want to be, you know, identified with the team. They want to be identified as themselves, as a personality. You know, they don't want to be tied to a team. I mean, when the Kobe's dropped back in the day, the initial colorway was always a Laker-inspired colorway, whether it was a Del Sol colorway with black and yellow or a full-on white, purple, and gold Lakers colorway. But nowadays, you don't really see that. I mean, was there ever a Bucks-inspired colorway of the Zoom Freak 1? I mean, I don't think so, which is something that I actually miss as a sneaker enthusiast, but I don't really know why Nike is doing this officially. I would love to know why they're taking this strategy, but yeah, like I said, it's black, it's white, there's a little bit of blue there. You really can't hate on it. If I had to choose one of these colorways between the Planet of Hoops and this black and white one, I actually would go with these black and white ones, but to me, it's really a toss-up, it's a coin flip. So again, I'm going 7.5 out of 10 here because I don't hate them. I do think Nike could launch the Katy 13 with something a little bit more unique here in the States. But if you live in the States, I mean, this is gonna be your first colorway of this sneaker. So it's a little bit of a bummer. So 7.5 out of 10 again for this colorway. Okay, so this next colorway is probably the loudest colorway of the 6 that you're gonna see in this video. This is called the Hype colorway, and they're clearly inspired by Versace or high-end fashion brands like Versace. And that upper, it's really gonna come down to whether or not you like it. And that's gonna be the verdict for you on this colorway. Now, I could see a lot of people digging this colorway, a lot of hypebeasts digging the whole Versace vibe. But on the other hand, I could see a lot of people thinking that that graphic on the upper is just way too loud, way too vibrant, and borderline tacky. And for me personally, I'm actually falling toward the latter side of that argument. This colorway does have a lot of potential to me, but I think Nike dropped the ball here. I mean, that swoosh, that gold swoosh, I don't know, but for whatever reason, I just don't like the way that material looks with that graphic on the upper. And then if you look at the midsole, the forefoot, there's this little green TPU piece that it just looks out of place. I mean, I think the white midsole is clean, the black outsole is clean, and again, I'm not a huge fan of the upper, but I get it. I get the appeal. It's just overall, as a complete package, this colorway isn't really doing it for me. So my official rating for the Hype colorway, I mean, it's gotta be a 6, right? I don't like them as much as the first 2 colorways, but I don't hate them because I do appreciate the effort. I do think this is gonna be the most divisive sneaker on today's video. I could see some people giving these a 10. I could see some people giving these a 1. So let us know what your rating is in the comments section below. I think it's gonna be all over the place. But as far as the release date for the Hype colorway, these are set to drop on April 10th at Foot Locker only. I think these are gonna be a House of Hoops exclusive. So if you wanna pick up this colorway, download that Foot Locker app and keep your eye on their release calendar because these are going to drop again on April 10th. Man, this next colorway is probably my least favorite colorway out of the 6. Let me tell you guys that right now. This is the Chill colorway, which apparently is inspired by Kevin Durant's favorite R&B list. What? What do these have to do with R&B at all? I mean, to me, this looks more like an Easter colorway, right, guys? I mean, there's a lot of, you know, greens and pastels, spring colors. I mean, look at that upper. The upper looks like a painted Easter egg. I mean, that's exactly what this looks like. I don't know what this has to do with R&B at all, but even without the story about his favorite R&B playlist, I mean, I just don't like this colorway. I'm not anticipating this release at all. I'd be shocked if any of you guys think this is the best colorway out of the 6 you're gonna see today. But if you really like this colorway, let me know why you like these in the comment section below. I'm just not a huge fan of these. These actually kind of look like a ladies only exclusive colorway, but for me, it's just not really hitting. So I'm gonna give these a 4 out of 10. I mean, they're not awful. The colors do kind of complement each other. And again, if this was an Easter colorway, it would make sense. But the R&B story, I mean, there's just a disconnect there. So I'm going with 4 out of 10 for the Chill colorway. These are set to drop on April 24th. Not that that matters. I don't think anyone's, circling that date on their calendar to pick up this shoe. But if you're interested, April 24th for the Chill colorway. All right, finally, this is the colorway that I was waiting to talk to you guys about, because in my opinion, this is by far, hands down, the best colorway of the KD13 that we have seen so far. Now, this colorway is inspired by KD's new team, the Brooklyn Nets, and that's why you're seeing a lot of black and white on this sneaker. But clearly, guys, the standout feature of this colorway is that multicolored outsole as well as collar area. I think Nike absolutely killed it with this colorway. Like I said earlier in the video, Nike should be dropping colorways to launch new signature sneakers that have something to do with the team, because if you're a fan of the player, you're most likely a fan of the team that they play for. So to kill two birds with one stone, I mean, what's the politically correct thing to say now? I mean, I feel bad saying killing birds, but you get what I'm saying. You want to get people who are fans of the team the player's playing for, as well as fans of the player itself buying the same sneaker. So I think Nike should have launched the KD13 with this colorway, because not only does it make sense, it's a Brooklyn Nets colorway, but it's just the best colorway out of the 6 that they unveiled. I mean, having that contrast of black and white sitting between those colored areas on the top and the bottom of the shoe, I mean, I just think it's an absolutely killer look. It's super unique, and I love that black swoosh. It pops right off of that white upper, and then it's sliced off by that white midsole that has black specials. I mean, overall, this is the complete package. The only thing that would make this colorway better is if the KD13 as a silhouette was just a more intriguing design. I mean, I think it's a decent looking sneaker, but it's not my favorite. So just because of that, I'm gonna give these a 9.5 out of 10. By far my favorite colorway to KD13. I'm definitely going to try and pick up a pair of these when they drop, and that is going to be, it's gonna be quite a while, guys. These are set to drop on May 1st. I'm probably gonna get a different colorway because I can't wait that long. But when May 1st comes around, I'm definitely gonna be thinking about picking these up. All right, so last but not least, we have this black and red. I mean, it's a bread colorway. So look, you guys know me, black, red, and white. Those are my 3 favorite colors. So I would be lying to you if I said I didn't like this colorway. However, there's one thing that is really bothering me about this colorway. If you take a close look at that kind of collar strap that sits underneath the swoosh, this colorway makes use of a patent leather material on that overlay. And to me, patent leather, I get it, guys. They were going for an Air Jordan 11 look, the bread colorway of the Air Jordan 11. That's clearly what these are inspired by. But to me, patent leather just doesn't age well. It is not the wave in 2020 to have patent leather, especially on a very modern looking sneaker like the KD13. So I would have liked to see Nike not use patent leather here, but if you're a huge fan of the Air Jordan 11s, you probably like this colorway more than me. I mean, look, I like the Jordan 11s, but I think that sneaker worked in its time, in its era. And in 2020, patent leather is just, it's just cheap. It just looks cheap to me. So I'm gonna knock a couple of points off for that. But another thing that I'm not too fond of, but I don't hate, I'm just kind of confused why Nike did this. If you look at the swoosh of this colorway, it's all one color. It's red, and I think it looks clean, but to me, it takes away from one of the more unique design features of the KD13, at least visually. If you take a look at the medial swoosh, the bottom part of it is black, and on all the other colorways of the KD13, the bottom part is almost always a different color from the rest of the swoosh, and it gives the sneaker this two-tone design that I actually really dig. So with this colorway, you're obviously just getting a red swoosh, and it just kind of takes away from the unique design aspect that Nike, put on the KD13. So I would have liked to seen this be a black swoosh and then the bottom part of it be red. I think that would have looked very clean in my opinion. But the red swoosh, I mean, I can't hate on it. It's just not as unique as it could be, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But look, the rest of the colorway is super clean. Red outsole, black upper, white midsole. It's a bread colorway. You can't get wrong with that. So I'm gonna give this a rating of 8 out of 10. I do like it better than the black and white colorway. I like it better than the Planet of Hoops colorway, but I don't like them as much as the Brooklyn colorway. So I'm going 8 out of 10. These are set to drop on June 1st, which again is the last colorway to drop out of the 6 that you saw in today's video. But there you guys go. That was the rating for every single Katy 13 colorway, at least that we've seen so far. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about these. Don't just drop a comment with which colorway is your favorite. I want to see your rating on every single colorway that we talked about today. It should be a lot of fun. There should be a lot of debates in the comment section. So go ahead, drop a comment. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like because it helps me out a lot. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and join the Durant mob for more sneaker related content just like this. My name's Jaren. It's been great having you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.